Hel hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm Steve. Welcome back to another live stream. We're here back on OverWatch 2. We're live for another scrim. Militia internal scrim with two of Talon teams, Team A, Team B. The main roster, sub roster, all that loveliness. In the commentary booth with me today, we have our good old friend, Sorcerer of Knives, aka Sock, aka Nick.
Hello, I'm here. I was also originally thinking of doing stuff, but what ended up happening, Steve was gonna be doing it, so I decided to join him. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah. So let me just change this to do not just join correction.
Okay, but anyway, I'm now gonna look at Nightmare's Twitter because now I'm curious.
So yes, Nick's just talking about before I went live, was talking about OWCS. There's a few people in the spectator area. Me and Nick are obviously the casters. For tonight, on Team A we have GG Ricky, Livid, Cousin? I think that's how you pronounce that. Lord of Trees, Exile, and Lala. On Talon B we have Ace of Blue Base, Ronin, Rio, Kaira.
Ace of Bass, to speak
Huh?
of. Ace of Bass, not base, but
That says base.
it says Bass.
And
it's BASS. My bad. Sorry, I thought I'd point that out. I thought I'd point.
So obviously I have casted Hugh in the past. I've also casted Ricky in the past, so I know how those two players work. The rest of the team, relatively new for me. Nick, any experience from yourself or what you've seen from these?
I played with Cuisine, also known as Sandwich, and I played with Tree. Both of them are very decent players and stuff like that. EXO, obviously, also very decent player, plays a lot of like the kind of Genji, but he also plays a lot of dive type tanks. I know he has a lot of experience in terms of like Hazard as his most brawly tank, but even then he plays like Doomfist and Ball at a decent level. Stuff like Ronin plays a lot of like Soj and Tracer, and I know Kira and Brick, who is sitting on the sideline, play like Juno, Kiri, Ana, like the exact same support characters as their best ones. And obviously Hugh is a Ramatra main, but he'll pull out Zarya and Orisa and such when, he's feeling like it.
With these two teams here, I've seen a lot of the support play, especially from Ricky, because she does seem to be a support specialist. The factor of mainly the Juno coming out recently. I'm wondering with what they're thinking of here, especially with the fact that we're currently looking at Ilios.
It is mid-May. Mid-map. Ilios to start? Okay, so dive potential on this map, plus as well as brawl potential. It just depends. So, obviously, Well is very brawly. Lighthouse has dive potential, but obviously, short dives and stuff like that. And then Ruins can kind of vary depending on what you are looking to play. It can end up brawly, it can end up pokey, and end up divey. It just depends on what your team strength is, though I think it's more of a poke to brawl map.
Yeah, obviously not played with a lot of these players, just due to this, that, and the other. The only ones that I have played with was Hugh and Ricky in the past. So their playstyle obviously I know about, but the rest of them are unknowns to me, so we'll see how this goes.
But it looks like, but it does look like Nightmare officially let go of the roster. It possibly has to do with the Esports World Cup coming up, but anyway, back to the game at hand.
So they've changed to
Oasis.
They have.
Apparently
Did they
they're
change it
missing
to
somebody.
Oasis?
Apparently
we'll
they're missing somebody.
Yeah. God damn it. So,
initiating match.
now that we can actually talk about this,
Okay.
we have University to start off
wait.
with, which is an interesting sub
Wait.
map. Oh, Nelios. Oasis, correction.
Hang on. I just want to point out did they know that they're on a quick play custom?
Ready for battle.
Oh. As we're looking at Team B here, they're going for Ratra, Kiri, Zen, Reaper, Soldier.
Round one.
The doors open.
Now, I guess they'll just play as the normal map. I'm assuming they'll fix this later. So, looks like.
Gun?
I was gonna say, it looks like Team A is gonna be standing up on the high ground, with Team B kind of standing in the lower place away.
Already wall out and down goes the fire already. Oh, with it.
The objective is now active.
On this big high ground fight here.
Both teams looking to pull out Ramatra style comps here, but a little bit of a different approach. But the things that are similar are Ramatra, Kiri, Soj, but two different versions of supports, with Team A going Juno, Pharah, with Team B going Zen.
Exactly. Both forms being popped by both the Ramatras there. Immediately backing up is going to be Team A to protect their tank. Into the engage though to take down Ace of Bay, Bass. Down goes the rest of the Team B. Unfortunately, the Soldier does go down in the meantime of the tree. But out comes the cover form for Exo and gets that over from Duke. Unfortunately, unable to keep themselves up there to get back to their team.
Yeah. Early point progression from Team B, but Team A was able to just put out a lot more damage with the Pharah, providing a lot more airborne pressure.
100%.
They definitely have a lot more healing potential in terms of a Juno comparatively to a Zen, but the damage potential on the Zen is way better than Juno. So it's more or less like
you down half health though. We'll have to comment on that momentarily. Sorry about that. Immediately has to get the water support from the support line. Again, going down to half health before the engage can even come in. There goes Ronin, there goes Gaius, but down goes the Soldier. Rio goes down, Ace goes down, and that is going to be another team fight in the phrase of Team A.
Yeah, but it looks like the sustainable healing is going to be beating up the looks of damage, and it looks like Bass will be making the swap over to Cass, probably for a little more pick potential, especially against that Pharah. Ult coming up on both sides, but the ult advantage is going to be A here in this next fight.
100%, especially with an orbital potentially in the boards here for Team A, coming up to 5 ults on board. Is concerning, but on point is going to be huge already. Out comes the Brush for Team B, out comes the Transcendence to say, down goes the Barrage into the small group, down goes to support on each side, Ace goes down to the meantime, down goes Annihilation. Q gets one for the annihilation, isn't able to get any contest, and down, goes down for the time. That is Team A taking points. And
Locking satellite vector!
this
Yeah,
free
that
point.
just turned into a general alt-dump fight, but it ended up with the bigger bank of ultimates,
0.
even with like 4 getting popped at them, like 3 getting popped early by Team B for a chance to actually
Ready
take
for
anything.
battle.
They weren't able to actually secure any kind of picks, and what ended up transpiring is Team A actually lasting through the ultimates to actually win that point.
100%, and we're now looking here at Gardens for the next submap. They're still hovering over this Cassidy, which did start to look good for Team B, with the
5,
same setup from
4,
Team A though.
3, 2,
That Farah
1.
being uncontested.
Round
Exo looking at the
2.
monkey
Capture
or
the
the Winston
objective.
here instead of the Ramatra.
Well, with the plentiful high ground on this map, you definitely can pull out a Winston here, but obviously, if it goes down into a mid-fight, he's not likely to find much value here.
Yeah, and Team B is actually trying to make the mid-fight a little bit more that they want to take.
With the rotate out, but Exo is holding into the mid.
The
Oh, but it's
objective
picked.
is now active.
That's
100%. Down goes the powerful. Down goes Exo though. Down goes 3 key. Down goes Oblivion.
Ronan sits here in Hookah at the back, looking to get some poke damage out. And looks like, by the way, Sandwich did swap over to the May here. Probably looking for a little more sustain for the backline because Juno, Kiri can be a bit vulnerable to dive because they have no way of like
the dive already from the Winston. Sorry about that.
So it doesn't look like that dive attempt went very well as Rayo does finish it off with the help of Ronan. Ronan does get a quick double kill for that.
Yep, unfortunately the Winston does go down, as you said, immediately from the double team of the high ground. If you're Team A, how do you re-engage this? The pressure of Team B with how split they've been, there's not really any good dive opportunities here.
Well,
Area denial.
Kiri Zen is a very greedy backline, same with like Kiri Ana. Like those two backlines are extremely
This
greedy and are
ends
looking
now.
so
Oh,
if
see,
they
popped.
and it looks like they do manage to trade out too, but Hugh does. Oh, but Hugh is actually running in, but unfortunately he's still down. But yeah.
Yep, still the point is Team B, but down they go. As I say that, commentator goes being in 100% there. But a decent push from Team B and decent time and clock.
So essentially, what they're going to be, I think, looking to do as Team B is obviously Hugh's going to be looking to running against value with the help of Ronan, but Fast is going to be sitting back likely with Rayo and Furia as like the core, the backline, to then, you know, get the damage out. Because Cass is a very good anti-dive DPS and can tend to stop enemies in his tracks.
And comes to Vortex, which does claim the May's life with the assistance of that Cassidy, as we was just talking about and alluded to. In comes the rush from the Ramatra and the Annihilation. In comes the Transcendence to assist with healing to keep that Ramatra nice and healthy.
I'm a monkey out on the side, but unfortunately, I'm a monkey does get chipped down, and Trees does also go down with a little buck in his pocket. But alt economy wise, Team A is looking in a very solid position to win this next point fight.
Coming up with potentially full ults here for Team A, as you out comes the rush, but unable to get any confirmations or any assistance for that. Down goes to the point, and no one's able to touch in time.
Rayo with the quick double kill on Lala as they pop out the Kitsune Rush and then gets a pick onto Tree, and that just kind of kills the push right then and there. And it keeps them from actually managing to take.
And Christine now looking at potentially hovering over this Asher now, instead of the Farah on City Centre, which is interesting. You could definitely still play the Farah here. It's just
Definitely could, but there is high ground potential for Ash here.
Excellent.
Ash definitely can output a lot of damage, and it looks like they, instead of
Capture the
a Juno
objective.
Kiri, they'll be playing another kind of version of the greedy backline with Ana Kiri, and Ana Zen on the side of Team B is also very vulnerable to die, but looks like they're gonna try again for a lot more damage, and the Ana has good sustain, so
both shields are popped already. Down goes Christine's Ash, and down goes Lola. Lord follows very quickly, unfortunately, and unfortunately the tank of Exile has to get out with Ricky, who unfortunately does go down to a grenade from the soldier. On sideline is Rowan now looking for that engage early. Goes down to half health for time though, as Team A is looking for this re-engage to just pass this chokehold. Up couple of thumbs from and nice lead dot from Ricky.
Ronan though, sitting here on this off angle in the long haul.
Yep,
Getting some value there with that.
all the team going down there. Fortunately, Kiri unable to keep themselves alive. Lala going down to a headshot from Hugh there.
This aggressive kind of poke style comp that has mostly just sustained from Hugh to just not get picked is actually finding a lot of value. Rowan almost dies though to Sandwich from sitting by the cars. And Ronan now just finding himself in a bad position and getting pushed.
Rowan goes down from Exo. Annihilation now, Pokeball now. In comes the TP from the Reaper. Down goes Ash and the Kiri to
The vehicle's most likely, but it's probably making likely a quick reset because they will have another chance to contest here.
100% here. Coming up to a nano in 10 for Team A with a annihilation of their own and a rush. This Kitsune rush.
Two ults ready to go.
A comes the rush.
This ends
trying to
now.
Oh, contested from Team B. Nicely dot out onto the enemy Ana though. But unfortunately, Overclock takes two. Rowan having impact on the Sojourn.
Nanoed, I'm pretty sure that was a nanoed overclock, and that just absolutely can tear shit up. And so that ended up, I think generally
Play of the game.
Team A was doing well initially, but I think the moment that I think the moment Team B were able to kind of settle into the combos they were wanting to play, they were able to do a lot better.
Unfortunately, I do agree with you there. Unfortunately, Team A getting a little greedy in some elements, but the aggression from Team B so much more heavy, relying on Hugh to make those plays as that Ramatra. Ronan looking heavily aggressive and concerningly accurate with those railroad shots as well on that Sojourn. Yes, Ricky got a nice sleep dart onto the enemy Ana, but unfortunately already the Ana got the nano off to hit themselves and Rowan there, so not much that Ricky could have done with that sleep dart. As we wait for them to pick what map we're going to next, we'll quickly have a word with Nick in regards to what he thinks and let him talk for a little bit of time. Nick!
Well, what I saw generally was like two teams that generally wanted to set the tone of the aggression. Team A definitely did that earlier, but Team B, I think, was able to eventually figure out how to sustain through it and then apply their own pressure. And I think generally when EXO decided to swap off the Ramatra, I think generally keeping the Ramatra mirror there was honestly a better choice than going for the Winston. Uh, but so far, like, I'd say both teams are pretty close, other than the very last point, which was even then it still had some chances for Team A. They just weren't able to clutch it up, and yeah,
As they're playing Ring Around the Roses with the whoever the host of the scrim is, apparently. Whilst we're waiting. Yeah, EXO definitely looks a lot more stronger on the Ramatra. The Winston did have some impact, but unfortunately couldn't get any purchase on the dives because of how spread out Team B was playing on that Gardens map. If they were playing a little bit more grouped up, I think EXO would have been able to get a lot more value from that Winston play, but definitely looked stronger with the Ramatra. As we will quickly go to BRB. As Team A, whilst we're waiting for them to do a little bit of background,
looks like
shenanigans
they
that
will be going
Team
Kings Row.
yes,
Good
Team
old Kings
A,
Row pick.
yeah, Team A with the Kings Row pick here. Nick, your thoughts of what they're going to be playing here on both sides whilst I have a
Uh,
real quick drink.
well, potentially they could be playing a dive for first point, and I think EXO would definitely try to take that, especially as a ball or a doom. He'll likely probably try to take the dive on an opening attack. Granted, they defend first, but even then,
Now
but afterwards,
entering
it's kind of becoming
King's
a brawl
Row.
to poke kind of match up with how King's Row is
Ready
very
for
linear,
battle.
and so I guess we'll see. And now that we have the normal scrim code set up, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still not a big fan of the scrim code. Not a big fan of the scrim code. I'd prefer just to play it as a normal custom competitive, and then we just go. You know what I mean? But that's just me. It looks like they're trying to set up Weaver Petal, putting Zen up on the high ground here.
Yep, well, currently hovering this Mercy for reasons.
I'm likely thinking Team B is going to go back to their normal composition that they were playing, but it looks...
Lower onto the Anna. So we've got Anna Adreno from Team A with Sandwich on the Ash, Tree on the Sojourn, EXO on the Sigma.
Double hit scan here, probably due to the high ground they want to kind of just play at a little bit of more pokey range.
And over on Team B we have a Reaper, Sojourn, Zen. Currently Life Weaver, but I'm guessing that's going to be changing off right now. There we go, there's the carry swap to an Anna swap, correction. with Hugh on this Ramatra. This Ramatra of Hugh definitely looked a lot stronger in Oasis. We'll see how that goes on this poke style map of
Hugh
Kings.
is very much a Ramatra main player, and Ramatra just generally is a good brawl tank. He definitely can provide a lot of pressure and has good damage mitigation in terms of his pummel form block, and his shield definitely can take quite a bit of punishment as it is in 1,000 health shield. But I think the big thing for Ramatra is he doesn't have the greatest of poke damage. And so that's why one of his perks that has the kind of the shotgun round that comes out after continuously firing is always very nice to add just a little bit extra DPS to that. And can make him just a little bit stronger in terms of the poke matchup.
100%. Whilst we are just waiting for the teams to fully solidify what they are running and how they are positioned.
It looks like Team A wanting to play up on the back high ground to start. Looks like they'll probably play back up here and then force the point if Team B doesn't decide to walk up on them.
100%. With this heavy high ground pressure here from Team A, it's primarily they are wanting to, in a way, do a death roll sort of motion here. But here comes the countdown.
I'd say almost a firing range,
incoming.
so to speak. But anyway, as we begin,
firing range, yes, that's what I meant. As both Sojourns are taking pot shots at each other, as Sojourns do. As we already have on this flank of Ace, actually, looking over at this Reaper. Sneaky Reaper.
Yeah, and looks like the rest of Team B is going to be taking up the high ground.
Yes, Purple goes down to Sojourn. Well, but is able to get out though. Down goes Ronin though.
Looks like after they lose Ronin, they decide to back up and play around the statue. And it looks like Tree is going to be taking this high ground here, but it's going to get TP'd on by Bath.
Here comes Ace, go TP out. Down goes Tree.
Ronin coming back with that railgun shot. Sojourn basically is an automatic sniper. Another one of them sniper characters in the game.
Down goes Ricky.
TP by Bath. Huge TP by Bath, but a sweep out from Lala. Keeps them protected, at least for now.
There's one take already. Obviously, Team A is going to have to contest this at some point.
I don't think they will contest it. I think they're going to...
One beam down, version 2 beam down. I don't think they're going to be able to, and Nexo goes down, so they're going to be getting out of dodge here for Team A, and not going to be able to contest whatsoever. In comes the TP from Ace.
Early ult advantage on the side of Team B, with both support ultimates coming up.
100%, and Hugh already looking at this aggressive position to make sure that Team A is not able to even get any sort of safety purchase in. Position here, what would you do if you was Team A right now, Nick?
Well, right now, first point is notoriously hard to defend if you can't hold a good position, and if you can't hold this S-turn on second, it's practically you're almost in a loss fight. You have a very long spot on defenders.
Force him out, down goes Exo, Transcendence also in, so double ult from Team B. Down goes Lala, down goes Tree. And that is pretty much...
aggressively pushing in and forcing back Team A here. And he'll just be holding straight here as they push the cart.
They are very limited contest there on B. As you said, that S-bed was the primary area that they wanted to be. Out comes the Bob though to contest point. And in comes Exo, kicks out Anna. Bob goes down, but down also does Hugh. Ace goes down as well. Orbital helping out the push to re-engage that the cards there before it hits B. Nick!
3 ults popped from the side of Team A to regain defensive position on the high ground by Bar. Mostly just trying to see if they can last. Nope, only one ult committed earlier, plus the Transcendence from Team B, and so they're still in a better ult position, and they'll likely re-engage with some ults on this side, while Team A looks to hold some more high ground.
Talon here on the double flank here. Down goes ASO. Been taken off on his flank angle from ASO again. Pulsar's out, but we can keep it in the team. Looking out inside the hotel here. Just like Talon is going to be taking big. ASO's going to make sure that's stopped. And they're going to be looking at going round towards the shack of the
This ends now.
Double overclock popped.
At the same time,
the value.
popped both sides. Transcendence out. Here comes the Annihilation now from Hugh.
Annihilation on the end of Team B, getting the more value out of that, and looks like this will be second point from Team B.
And in the midst of that as well, I missed Ronan taking out the counterpart of Tree with the overclock.
Yeah, both of them had overclock there, and even Tree had the nano overclock, but couldn't quite finish off Ronan as Rio was trying to give him the Transcendence health, so it wasn't going to be a quite easy finish.
Ace going down to Ronan.
Not Ace, but Lord of Trees. Tree goes down because Tree made the swap with Reaper, and Exo runs to Winston. And so it looks like they're going to be playing using the high ground of this final point with stuff like Winston, because the only verticality... Yeah, the only verticality on Team B... Oh, what a good...
Down whilst I'm looking over at the fight. Down goes Exo, down goes for Tree. But in the midst of that, Ricky gets a pulsar kill to Ace. Down goes Sandwich down, as I'm talking about Sandwich. Ricky only got on point, having to stall until their team comes back. Exo comes back, gets the kill onto Rio. Talon goes down to the Reaper. And take question from Ultra. Well, they lose their life. You can gain a lot of value there on that defense. And another switch, well, for Sandwich, to the Bastion. Pulse.
Probably just to provide a lot of pressure, likely on Hugh on the ramp. Make sure he can't walk up as easily.
Coming up to 4 ults for Team B. In comes to Death Blossom, unable to get any purchase down.
Now.
In comes to Overclock as well, so double
Todd
DPS.
gets slept and hit with pulsars.
Ronan! Down! To pulsars, and as you said, in comes the Auto, and in comes the Transcendence to try and keep that team alive from Rio. Ace goes down, Rio goes down now. In comes the defensive leap from Exo to pressure back Team B, and oh gosh, that was a good defense there.
With the help of defender spawns, Team A is able to get back relatively quickly, and this third point can be notoriously hard to take if you can't round this corner and take out the defenders before they get back on respawn.
Rico up in the high ground there, can hear him. Rotate round. Okay, now. In comes the rush. Annihilation pops! Nano out! Onto Hugh there, and a nano onto the Winston. Unfortunately, Winston of Exo unable to really contest here. Down the DPS and support. Ricky comes back in the nick of time. Massive for that here as well. But down goes Tree, down goes Lola. But again, Sandwich, nice kill onto Hugh. Time runs out just before point C.
Unable to take it. They had the early advantage, but due to Exo just being able to stay on point and them not being able to kill him, he's able to kind of stay on point and keep himself up and alive.
Ready for battle.
I'm just here looking very quickly at how tantalizingly close Team B got it to getting full capture here. It was half a payload from full capture, Nick.
That is pretty
Half
good.
a payload.
That is living by the skin of your teeth.
Looking now
so-
at this this setup for Team B for how they
It
want
looks
to do their defense. They are keeping with this Ramatra. Hugh very strong on that Ramatra though.
It looks like they'll be also somewhat playing the high ground here, but it doesn't look like they're going to be fully committing to it. They're looking as if they're wanting to kind of play a little more forward in their positioning, with Bass and Kyria playing on this flank, probably looking for anybody trying to sneak up on it. Hello, Rez.
Yeah, yes, Raz.
Okay, I'll do it. It's fine. Since you're streaming, Steve, I'll do it.
Thank you.
I got you. Anyway. Now, again, playing the Curie Zen, playing in a very, again, greedy backline, looking for damage more than anything.
And looking at where Ace and Kiri has set up here, on this flank to the right of the map as the attackers look at it, Exo currently hovering over the Zarya though. Interesting pick.
What's up?
Can I interest you in a snowball fight?
Zarya
I
can be a
interest
decent
you in a
matchup into
snowball
Ramatra
fight?
if Ramatra does try to apply a lot of pressure through pummel damage and such, but it's all very dependent on how well Zarya can manage her charge.
Can
And
I interest
managing
you
to
in a
bubble her teammates,
snowball
because if you just
fight?
walk past the Zarya and try to pressure her
5,
team and force out her
4,
bubble, you can just
3,
kill her at that point.
2.
Looks like we'll get started though. Oh no, never mind. I was ready. I was ready. They
5.
added 30. Oh my god. People are adding more time to the clock, I guess. And it looks like Sandwich and Tree are going to be pulling out May Reaper for this. And so looking like they're wanting to kind of take it slow but fast in terms of what they have for Kiri Juno.
5, 4.
Very interesting
But-
help here
2,
from the side
1.
of Team A.
Attackers incoming.
We'll
It
see
looks
how
like
they
we'll be
go.
getting them today
Defend
here.
objective A.
The Vortex and Shield popped immediately from Hugh there. Slight misplay from the tank, but unfortunately he does have a good team to assist him.
And it looks like they'll be playing around the hotel side. And so it looks like Team B will make a rotation and try to see if they can get it. Wall coming up.
Ball out, TP in.
It looks like they'll finally force the issue and drop on point, but
Hugh going down to silver health. Down goes Hugh. Catches the Reaper with the wall as well on the low ground. Ace getting the better of 3 now based on that.
Objective lost.
But Ace does lose their life
Stop
as
the payload.
getting caught off by that May wall. Beautifully placed to stop that Reaper getting out from that single kill.
looks like Sandwich is going to be taking the high ground here and trying to kind of flip the map on away from Team B. But Team B is playing up in the high ground near first point, trying to kind of pressure card a little bit, kind of see if they can buy a little time.
TPM from Tree there. Getting down to they'll have to get out to
And it looks like we'll begin walking up.
assistance.
Looks like they'll be walking up, taking the high ground, and begin to move this cart. Past the choke.
So looking for potential flank round with Kyria there. Unfortunately unable to find anything, so return back to their
洞主
team.
不许走！
In comes Blizzard. I believe only
Oh,
catches Hugh
that's
there.
the top.
It does indeed.
But Suzu is popped by Kyria to save him, and he's able to sink through and keep alive.
狐の鍵爪を解き
In
放
comes
て
Katsumi from Kyria. In comes the Transcendence. In comes the damage. Running, taking down Sandwich. Exo soon follows. So does Lala.
Ricky might potentially get staggered here, but looks like she'll make back cover.
Tree going down to half health again. Getting topped up by Ricky. As I said, looking at potentially a engage through main with this May. Flank from the tree. TPN. Here goes Death Blossom clearly on Ricky!
Ends now.
Oh,
Death Blossom in return takes out Ronin. Down goes Kyria. Down goes Hugh. Reaper.
Ronin tried to pop over there,
Of
all
Ace.
caught in the grab. But unfortunately he's taken out by Tree, who's getting a little silly with it by popping the Blossom as everybody's kind of stuck and can't move. Looks like Team A is going to push up near the checkpoint, trying to see if they can take away space. But instead of holding the low ground, EXO is holding high with Lala.
Few pop shots in there, throw the right click from this area up on the high ground. It's a very powerful place. There goes the rush. Shooting rush in from Lala there. In comes the Reaper. In comes the Annihilation down. In comes the Orbital to try and keep up the team, but unfortunately Sandwich does go down. Hugh does go down. Theo goes down. But also does Exhale.
Both teams without their tank here. One without a support, one without a DPS. And so it's kind of a fight on point, seeing who can potentially trade out the other person.
High ground taken by Ronin here.
Looking to kill Ricky, who is...
Here comes the Death Blossom from Ace, though, takes out Tree. Now coming up for another engage is going to be Team A, and waiting for the team with a Blossom of their own here for
It looks like
test. The Ronin already goes down.
Sandwich getting that early pick, and now EXO is charging in with the bounce
Ace
for
goes
Zarya
down.
to make her...
It's like Ace takes down Tree in the mid, so that you down to some health. Goes down for their time. Ace also follows EXO very quickly.
It looks like they will take this point with about 2.5 minutes left on the clock. A little slower than Team B, but they still have a decent time bank to try to complete the map.
100%, and look at this early aggression position by Kyria here, up on the high ground near their spawn, to get this line of sight onto Team A. Here comes the TL up onto the high ground from Ace to get back to their team quicker. Rush in, but here comes the Death Blossom by Tree, gets 2!
A cheeky teleported Blossom gets 3. And it looks like they will be able to get some push here. Cube looks like either have fallen off or has just jumped off for a quick reset. Hopeful to touch again before they potentially hit the checkpoint.
This ends
And they hit it.
now.
Can they hit it?
Unable to contest, in comes the contest, but unfortunately that's the loss of the round. That goes to Team A. Here comes everything for Team A. Pushes it all the way to third.
Complete. Draw.
Team A getting the full complete, half a cut further than the Team B.
Play of the game.
Excel, very much a playmaker in some elements. Zarya, that comes on very strong right near the end. We also have to
EXO did pick the perk to help kind of like a faster Zarya movement and for their team, so it looks like they really did want to play aggressive there.
Yep, and I also have to give some props there to Tree with that teleport blossom and triple kill as well. Very aggressive plays from Team A on their attack phase. We'll see where Team B or Team A wants to take us with their next map. Thoughts, Nick?
Well, it all depends on how they want to play. Because if Hugh's tanking, he wants to
Right?
likely play something brawly or something with a little more open sightline to kind of keep
Yeah,
teams at range.
Plinko is what it
But it
is.
looks if Team B wants to play a little more, looks to want to play a little more poke, comparatively to Team A, who want to kind of play more dive rush. And so, I'd assume Circuit is definitely a choice that they are going to be happy with picking it as the third map.
100%. They've got, as you said, they've been playing this poke comp with Hugh on this Ramatra. Circuit Rail definitely can play into that Ramatra comp so much. Works so well with the team. Ace looking extremely powerful. Ronin, again, elements on that King's Row, even though they lost it, very strong with the soldier. Ace to back him up on that flex support, flex DPS. Definitely making an impact for both. Yes, Plinko. I'll talk to Nick about that later.
About what?
Can I get an autograph from this Sorcerer of Knives?
Maybe. My time is limited. I don't know. I don't know if I can, you know?
With EXO, what do you think he's going to be playing here? Obviously, we know what Hugh is going to be playing in consideration.
Likely. I'm assuming Echo might likely pull out a Sigma here, because Sigma can do decent on this map. Or maybe he pulls out the Zarya. Maybe he pulls out the Zarya again and then you start running. See if they can close the distance between them and Team B.
Fair enough. We do have Uncle Reskin in this lobby, who's been listening to our commentaries and our thoughts. Rez, do you have any thoughts?
He's just sitting here enjoying.
I'm just enjoying this, and honestly, every time I log in, I'm still amazed by you guys' ability to come in here and cast an event, let alone like this is, call outs times 10 pretty much.
Thank you.
But no, your ability to do this is awesome. It is definitely cool to come in and see, a main team and a sub team, even though I think they might be mixed, regardless, going against each other. I remember a time where an event was cast where I was a tank going against Hugh Jackman, and I still have nightmares about that. So to come in,
remember even his steroided monkey.
Yeah, definitely, and he's the bomb.com. Nobody's ever gonna give me nightmares like going against his Ramatra. So
Welcome to
An aggressive Ramatra and a scary Ramatra.
yeah, it's fun to see him in action and me not be in the front of his fist.
And just as in confirm, yes, chat, it is going to be very much of a brawl between the Sojourns to try and get that first pick. But saying that, Ace is currently hovering over this Widow pick on the, I believe it's attack first. It is indeed. With Ronan on this Sojourn. So it's more likely going to be one of the two, of Ace or Ronan getting the first pick here. Which one? Who knows?
I'm going to take the assumption that the Widow pick is likely just to open off spawn, and then they'll likely change to whatever hero they were wanting to play. They'll go back to this Zen Ana here. Again, another variation of an aggressive backline, but it is vulnerable to dives. But EXO I saw was hovering the monkey, but it looks like they're going to stay as a Sigma like I predicted. And it looks like Tree's going back to the Reaper that worked near the end of King's Row, and Sandwich is going to go to the Ash for that hit scan potential and that DPS potential.
100%. Lala was doing a little bit of memes in Spawn of hovering over the Widow of their own, which is very much against the rules, but hey ho, it is what it is. It is a friendly matchup at the end of the day.
I mean, hey, if they want to off-roll it with each other, that'd be interesting, you know what I mean? That's interesting, if they're off-rolling. But it looks like Exo's still kind of deciding what he wants to play here. He's kind of like going in between, but it looks like he's gonna settle for the Doom pick.
Yeah, on the ability pick, as you said, so obviously he's hovering over this Doom Fist now. With the lineup here from Team B, how do you think the Doom Fist is going to work out?
Well, the key for the Doom to actually succeed in this position is to be able to dive the backline of Ana Zen, because they don't have great peel, and they don't exactly have great CC to deal with the Doom. The only thing that they have is Sleep Dart and Nade, with a Discord. But, fun fact is that if a Discord is applied to a Doom while he's blocking, Doom requires less damage to charge his punch. Fun little fact that I found out recently.
The more you know.
So, right? But essentially it's going to be can the backline of Team B sustain through a Doom dive. That's going to be the big thing to keep an eye on. So it looks like we're going to kick it underway.
And we will not fail.
I'm on board with Ace's face right now as we look at pick, and there it goes!
Early pick! Right off the hop! Fast!
Beautiful pick from Ace.
Looks like he's hunting there around for Ricky. Catches, and another shot popped!
Ace making a very big play here from the sideline, taking out two in quick succession, and looks to be sticking with it actually as they push around to first.
The open sightlines really do work for Widow. This map is one of those few maps you actually could stick to Widow and don't have to play it as a blue pick.
Doomfist looking for any purchase there. Incomers the resistance. Fakes down to 4 HP, goes Ace. So now look over at the main.
Exo
there
diving
goes.
in, trying to see if he can catch.
In comes
And
Exo, does take care of Kyria.
But Rayo does actually trade him out, but Ronin gets picked by Sandwich. But Ace is just having his way with Sandwich right now.
Ace taking another head. That makes 3 people down to headshots from this Widow on Ace. Looking at now the high ground. 3 pot shots in the Soda and the Widow combined. No engage here. Engage from the Exo. Goes down for the time though.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Sights, and they now know exactly where Team A is going to be sitting. Down goes Tree. Another headshot for Ace, making a name for himself on this attack phase. I'm probably really feeling himself right now.
He's locked in. He's locked in. Exo makes the swap over to Zarya, probably to kind of last a little bit with the regenerative shields that Zarya has. But even then, the bubble can save their teammates. Sandwich tags the path, kind of keep an eye on them.
This off angle from Ace, looking at very open jungles, so the Ashe cannot get any value. In comes the annihilation for Hugh though. He seems to be making a name. He wants to make a name now. In comes a volley from Rio to catches Tree.
Tree
not having any fun today. Actual
be a reading boost, no, with the
They continue to rush out. In comes Bob, but Kiri goes down. Exo takes down Rio. Bob in a very interesting location where they're trying to take Q down. Down goes Trade, down goes Kiri, down goes Ace to Exo. Q
Ash was originally
last
the original.
so much longer. Nice headshot from Sandwich there onto Rowan.
But yeah, no. Bass rotated all the way around to the old defender spawn. And looks like Hugh's going to be making the swap over to Zarya. It's going to play the mirror here. Probably just to be able to allow, especially the backline, and even the Widow, like they live here.
100%. And looking at where Hugh is coming up, wants to take an early fight, wants to be aggressive here.
Not so fast.
In comes the off-angle from Ronan as well. Early engage from front,
Огонь по
mainly from
готовности.
front. In comes the Death Blossom on top of a nicely placed Graviton Surge there from Exo, taking down the majority of the team.
It looks like the attack has stalled here near the end of second point. Team A has been able to begin to dig in. And that's the big thing, is
The cart now slowly rolling backwards down towards the hill.
Team B generally has a slower composition, and it's a lot more, they have to feel it out. So,
In comes Hugh now, looking for an engage here. In comes
Fast
both
looking for the
bubbles.
cheeky jump shot. Fast looking for
Ace
the
down
cheeky
to
jump
half
shot there.
health.
Personne n'échappe à mon
Slice pop
regard.
from Ace again. Knows exactly where Team A are going to be hiding here. Looking for any purchase. Goes down to a sliver of health. He needs some assistance from his healers. Immediately gets it. Down goes Sandwich yet again. This time to Hughes and Zarya. Headshot again from Ace onto Tree.
Into the iris.
Yeah. Ricky looks to salvage the fight with an orbital ray, but it looks like it's just a little bit too late.
Exo gets
Sure,
one, but Exo goes down.
Yeah. Sure, Exo got a pick, but it doesn't look like it was enough. And it looks like this will be second point.
Here comes
Oh,
the
wait.
Reaper. Touching. Purple. Gets into some health. Unable to keep it.
Payload has reached the
I mean, that was at that point just a stall for a little bit extra time at that point.
Desperation stall, yes indeed. 100% from that one. Point B gathered and got.
Bree moving over to the Bastion pick here, so it's going to be a very much a double hit scan pressure on to the slow progressing comp that Team B is running. But ult economy does favor Team B a little more, so if they want to get aggressive with it, they can.
100%, and this Widow already of Ace already up to 25 from having another Infocytes here. This Widow.
This ends now.
Oh, another pick on
Overclock in.
Sandwich on a...
Ace! As he said, sandwich down. Running, overclock in. Does
Огонь
get
по
one.
готовности.
But in comes a Graviton Surge.
That does catch out Exo, so a decent
Personne
Graviton Surge
n'échappe à mon regard.
kind of
If the
catches
Surge
Exo
popped.
out.
Early Infocytes to make sure that Team A is very aware of the fight. Down goes Tree to the volley from Rio.
Into the
In comes
iris.
a Kitsune Rush on a bomb. But in comes a to keep this team healthy. In comes a lovely place. Graviton Surge there for Exo. Does take care
But
of
Rayo
it.
is trading up the enemy backline quite a lot.
Rayo does go down though to Exo, as we're talking about Rayo being the playmaker there. But again, Ronan on this flank is making sure that damage is being dealt down range to Team A. Now going to be looking at and waiting for his team. Up on the high ground is now going to be Ronan. Taking a little bit of damage there from the nice place.
Furia is the
Right,
only
right.
one with an ultimate. And so it's going to generally be a very, like, who can get the early pick kind of fight. Overtime triggers.
100%. Anna on this backline for Kyria here, making sure that the players are not going down too far. Another headshot attempt
Hugo
was
gets picked.
Hugh down! As he said, Ronan does take care of Tree and is Ace down though to Exo. In comes the Orbital from
This
Ricky.
ends now.
In comes the Overclock. Overclock Orbital does take care of Exo for the time. Rio again takes out two. That's
Into
full
the
left
iris.
Gravid for Team B.
That nano overclock changed the
Zero
kind of the outcome
to
of
three.
that fight. It looked to be a lost fight after you
Switching
got picked
sides.
early from Sandwich, but they were able to kind of bring it back even through the pressure of an orbital.
Ready for battle.
Orbital still is I consider one of the best ults in the game at the moment. Even with the nerfs, it is still a game-changing ult. It is no longer as much as the insta fight win button it used to be, but it's still a very dangerous ult that you do not want to be poking against.
100%. With the fact that currently, as well, with how they're playing, this team A, especially with Ace on this Widowmaker, that he is showing off again and currently going round towards point A and this primary sight line. Looked heavily impressive, heavily dominant on that first round. EXO here on the Winston, potentially, for their engage here. It's going to be interesting to watch.
Winston can struggle on this map,
5,
considering the
4,
long distance between
3.
high ground, and if he can make it up there with the amount of post damage that Team B has, and looks like they'll be running out the same comp again. But this time, as again, Team A is bringing out the Winston with an Ana.
The Ash of Sandwich was looking strong, but unfortunately Ace looking stronger. Not being biased, just saying it how it is. Ronan also
Bash
looking...
Bash just had Sandwich's number there. Like, I think there was only one pick that ever went Sandwich's way. The rest of the time it was all Bass.
100%. Hitscan versus Hitscan. Poke versus Poke. With dive
While there is
from
counterplay
Team
you
A.
can work While there is counterplay you can work around the Ashe, there's not as much counterplay for a Widow. It's pretty much just Finder and Killer, comparatively to an Ashe where you kind of have to somewhat avoid damage. But Bastion is getting pulled out. Looking, again, Bastion Soj looking like they're wanting to play a lot of DPS here. Trying to see if they can punch through this heavily poke-based comp that Team B is running.
100%. With the fact that they've got a mix-up here with a lot of poke elements, but a dive tank from Team A. We'll see how it goes as we are counting down the seconds that we are waiting.
Now, if they it's interesting. They don't exactly have a dive-oriented team. It's mostly the only dive is the Winston. The rest of the team is very, I'd say, considered very pokey. I wouldn't even consider it a rush. It is more a poke.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty much going to be EXO running for hits, and if he can't get anything, he might end up being cooked. Because of both Sleep, Discord, and Anti, it's not going to look great. But Ricky is changing over to the Ana, so looks like they are a little more dive-oriented in terms of the backline. It looks like Bastion is probably going to sit there with the core, while I'm assuming Soj runs to see if she can keep up. But off we go.
Here comes the area denial already from the Sojourn of Ronan. Looking for some early damage onto Team A here.
Disrupting.
Here comes the area denial for Tree as well. Some pot shots being taken from Ace, unable to get any purchase there.
Take everything.
And talking about Ace, they go down to sort of hell with unfortunately Kyria. They are very aware of the positioning of the Widow here, looking potentially at the dive onto the Widowmaker, which is the only thing that I can think of why they're with this Winston.
Yeah, probably trying to see if they can dive the Widow and probably bubble her off and not allow her to get any pressure.
Unfortunately, so much goes down.
Rayo, though, is, I think, becoming the sniper now at this point.
Yep, Rayo with 2 there, taking down the DPS line of the Sojourn. Sandwich now over to May, as we're waiting.
Probably just to be able to wall off the Widow sightlines, plus the Ana, plus the Zen.
100%.
Just trying to see if they can create some cover, mobile cover, to actually potentially attack this bridge.
And then from ace. Ronan goes down to a slugger of health and gets some immediate support.
Essentially,
With tree, takes out the tree. Down goes the, here comes the dive though. Exo with 2. Running back, does take out Lala. Come back out for Exo though.
Rayo lives at 19 HP.
Lights popped. Down goes Exo.
And looks like it's looking to be more of a team fight win for Team B, and they'll have the ultimate they'll have a little bit more ultimate economy than Team A, but Team A is coming up on more ults. After the sites were just popped.
Sandwich making their way through one of the hotels here to get out to the team.
Jump onto Ronan. Ronan does get caught trying to slide away from Exo. Looks like they are able to break. Looks like they are able to break the bridge hold and push the cart forward under the bridge.
And comes the Annihilation, here comes the Nano, no. In comes Transcendence to contest this Winston. In comes the Overclock from Tree and takes out Korea.
At first it was looking kind of dire, because the wall of Sandwich does block off Exo in the initial jump, but it doesn't look like that matters. They were able to push it all the way, but a good initial hold by Team B does make the push for Team A a little harder, as they have no time left on the clock. Or I should say, less time on the clock, I should say, anyway.
3 minutes to push to point B, and already on this aggressive setup of defense from Team B, with the Widowmaker on this inlay, with a Sojourn with them.
Widow wrapping around. Fast wrapping around, can't quite get Ricky. It's looking for a poke here. It looks like Lala spotted them out. Oh, and it doesn't look like they have.
Tree.
Doesn't look like we're paying attention, and it looks like they pay for it.
Down
And they will pay
goes,
for it.
Lala.
This ends
Exo goes
now.
down to Hugh. Overclock is contested though from Ronan. Thinks that the overclock is necessary to win this fight. Down goes Ricky. No, overclock.
What won that fight there was the flanking Widow on that side, because Bass flanked down the stairs and was able to kind of get 2 key kills without Team A being able to do much about it, as they were
know where the May is if they're paying attention. May is directly underneath Team B.
Yeah. Bass has no interest in going for the May. They look like they're hunting supports here. They're hunting Kyries and Zens. They're like Elmer Fudd out here.
In comes Dive, in comes the wall. In comes the save though.
Into the iris.
You also have to save Exo.
Rayo has been building up these transcendences very quickly, but it also helps that since they're playing a very aggressive poke comp, they will be taking likely a lot of damage poking out.
From Lala.
But the anti-nade does keep Echo from getting anti-nade keeps Echo from getting the healing he needs, and that kind of forces
Tree down.
a huge. Lala looks to hold the stair angle. Exo in with a dive on Bass, but
60 seconds remaining.
60 seconds left as the fiend tells us. Ball in for Team A. Exo down, 3 now versus 5. In comes the Sojourn, unable to get any pressure. It's Lala. Rayo with another one. Takes out the Sojourn. Down goes poor Sandwich. He's at the rail shot. Lalo down as well.
Now it looks like all of Team B is going to be sitting up on this open sight line, trying to poke them out, trying to basically stall as much time as possible to not allow another touch.
100%.
3 ult on the side of Team B. With 4 and...
Past this stairwell does make it even harder for them to contest this as well.
Team A might have to go all in on the ult. They have 4 with 1 on the way.
Here comes here comes the Overclock. Here comes the Blizzard. 3 in. Annihilation popped. 40 In comes the Transcendence system.
This ends
A
now.
little too low, late. Down 2, go down. Tree does get a snipe onto the enemy.
Bewiesen
In
Wishapen
comes the Nano onto the Retro here. And down goes Lala to another headshot from Ace. Ace the playmaker.
Victory.
That's Team B. Now 2-1.
That aggressive poke style comp that they ended up running paid off in the long sightline map of Circuit. Looks like Team B kind of generally wants a more longer sightline map, while Team A wants to play a little more faster with closer sightlines so then they can pressure quickly. Because you don't want something like that happening again, I'm sure. They want to try to avoid those maps as much as possible.
100%. And as I said, Ace looking extremely aggressive there with that Widow play. Both attack and defense, getting headshot after headshot, making sure that the enemy front line and back line feared that Widow. Uncle Raskin, any comments, good sir?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I mean, I think I would have liked to see more of a. I mean, me personally, I would have liked to see more of a. I think a heavy dive from Team A because, like you said, with those long sight lines, there really wasn't much they could do but give space every step of the way for the first half for Team B's push because at that point, you know, they're hiding from Widow. They're moving backwards every time. Every time Hugh Jackman armors up, and it kept them off balance and moving backwards and hiding behind cover, even though you know they're on the fence. So it was pretty rough. It looked like they were realizing that they needed to have an answer for the heavy poke comp in the back lines, but it just wasn't. I don't think it was enough with only one tank being able to dive back there without any assistance or anybody coming with them.
100%. It'll be interesting to see where Team A wants to take us with their map pick here.
It looks like they'll be taking a 5-minute break, though. It looks like
Okay, fair
everybody's
enough.
going to be taking a bathroom break here, so we can kind of discuss it a little more.
Obviously, this poke comp from Team B correction, words are hard apparently.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. It looked like Bass had nothing but time and opportunity to set up each and every one of their shots. There wasn't a lot of pressure on that Widow. I know at first I'm pretty sure I saw a Reaper come out. I couldn't tell from the way the camera was moving if Reaper was consistently going after that Widow or not. But like I said, if I think if Winston had a good DPS on his side, maybe even a support that could dive with him to take care of and put pressure on that poke comp in the back, I think maybe things would have turned around a little bit quicker.
DPS probably that would have likely been helpful. Something like a Genji, Tracer, or Sombra, which all can kind of
Yeah.
commit to helping in the dive. It's just a
Yeah,
matter
it
of
looked-
can they pressure
it
out
looked-
enough, or can Team
Yeah.
B keep the Widow alive?
Yeah, it looked like by the time the second half came around, they realized they needed some form of dive or barrier. And yeah, it looked like Winston was probably the only move that I think they made, if I remember the lineup, to give an answer for that back line, but it just wasn't enough,
100%.
especially with the back line being more or less stationary.
Unfortunately, EXO did start getting purchase on that the Zarya correction. And it's a bit awkward to see a matchup like that, but at the same time, very much aggression from both sides of things.
At this point, they should likely be expecting that they're not likely to change much about the comp. The only thing that they're changing really is either the Kiri and Ana on Kiria's side, with either Bass playing Reaper or Widow, depending on the sightlines of the map, by the looks of it. So Team A should have a very general good idea of what they're running into, and they should likely try to prepare for that if they can.
Yeah, that was. Then that would have been a nightmare for me as well, having to worry about a widow one shot and or I cannot remember her name for the life of me. Oh my gosh, why can I remember her name?
Kiri?
Because no, from Team B. Ronan played her.
Oh,
Why
Soldier.
can I remember her name? Soldier, there we go. Gosh. Yeah. Without worrying about a charge shot, it's game over if you peek and get hit by one of those.
100%.
I
It's
actually wonder if Sigma would have been any help if Team A was focusing more on trying to stay poke. I know that Widow would have been waiting for time and opportunity for that shield to drop, but
Even
I
just
think
putting
that
the
would have gotten
shield,
them.
even putting the shield in the Widow's face to disrupt her and force her to reposition
Yeah.
could have at least helped their team out to move a little bit. But the big
Yeah.
thing with that is if Hugh walks up on the Ramatra, he can just go straight through the
Right.
suck and the shield of Sigma, and so it's
Most
it looks
certainly.
like
I think
and it
maybe
looks
it would
like
have helped a little bit earlier if there was a Bastion involved to help with that. I think as a Sigma, I probably would have scrambled back pretty quickly as soon as Ramatra took the armored form and let Bastion do the dirty work.
Yeah, it's that balance from time to time of who do you go for, and that decision making was a little slow from time to time from Team A. Decision making, though, has been good from both teams, but sometimes a
Yeah.
little slow from Team A,
and it looks like
unfortunately.
we'll be going to Colosseo. So interesting map choice here because Colosseo, like a push maps generally can have long sightlines, and Colosseo is no exception. It tends to have very long sightlines in stuff like the middle stadium, as well as the high bridges and stuff like that if you're defending. So now the question: does Bass go back to the Widowmaker? Do we see that, or do we see them play
Arriving
something
at
else?
Coliseum.
But I guess we'll see.
It's an interesting conversation
Ready for
that,
battle.
because I think that Bass definitely was looking strong on this Widowmaker from the Circuit Royale, but they're thinking Reaper, Sojourn, Zen, and Anna with the Hugh on the Ramatra again. A interesting change up here. Looks. I don't know why EXO is currently showing off Lucio, but it is what it is. Reinhardt from EXO. This I had to
Interesting.
see.
I think he's taken
3,
inspiration from Plinko there. I have a feeling he's taken some inspiration from Plinko, and we're gonna see some of that in action here. And it looks like they're gonna be playing a May Reaper, so it looks like they're gonna be playing very close and bunched up, looking to try to, trying to see if they can get some early damage, especially onto Hugh. But it looks like Bass will be going back to the Reaper as they continue this round. It looks like Team B is still
100%.
very poor with their comp, and they're not making many swaps other than Kyria either playing Kiri or Ana, and Bass either playing Reaper or Widow. So
100%. And since Plinko is currently watching the stream, he's very happy at the fact that there is a Reinhardt on the field.
of course he is. He is, as we like to call him, the Rhine specialist, but we all know he's a Rhine one trick.
5,
Granted, he is learning other
4,
tanks, I'll give him that.
3,
He is trying to add
2,
other tanks to his hero.
1. Objective
100%,
unlocks
and we
in 30
watch
seconds.
him now as Team A exits on this with Reinhardt with a Kiri Juno backline. May Reaper, so very aggressive brawl come from them.
Area denial.
Where this poke come with the Ramatra already 3 down. Down goes Ricky.
Exo does take out the
Does get
Julia.
one, but unfortunately Lala goes down to the snap kick.
Yeah, he is gonna get staggered out, and it looks like Sandwich is just trying to last against Ronin, but unfortunately falls to Rayo and Ronin combined. And so early push progress on the side of Team B as they will be pushing up and looking to contest the high ground bridge and keep their team, keep the enemy team a bit off balance here.
100%, and already Ronin are still on this aggressive angle here up on the high ground. Can drop down anytime if you want to. Unfortunately, Exo losing the shield already. It looks like it was close enough that the shield was down.
Exo is looking to run though. Looking to run, but
Down
unfortunately...
goes the Exo Reinhardt. You can making sure that Reinhardt wasn't getting any purchase there. Down goes Sandwich. Kyria goes down to Tree in the back of the line, but Tree goes down to Rayo again. Rayo coming into their own now as this and that's already checkpoint gathered for Team B. That is a big push for first and second fight.
Sandwich pulling out the Flora and Exo pulling out the Joker Queen. Looks like they're going to try to push the tempo a little bit more. After Exo gets kicked out without a shield, try to stay aggressive, but Duke shuts that down immediately. But Duke is poking out the Flora.
TP in from Ace into the backline. Kiri has to TP out. That goes straight in the mid, so that Ronin gets the best of that. Taking down Kiri. Ricky version. That goes Lola. Ronin to charge up shot. Rayo again. Exo down. Push ball. Going past checkpoint. Coming round the first of the corners here, coming up to final point.
It looks like they will be holding this bridge, kind of poking them out. With no shield, Exo can't exactly protect his team.
And comes the dive! And comes the anti-dive! No! Ricky goes down! In goes the annihilation! Down goes the Exo as well.
Cooling down.
Tree
Rayo
falls
pushing
to
off Duke.
Sandwich down. Only one alive is Lala. Guess Ace for the time before getting a headshot and charged up shot from Ronin. This might even be full completion and a 3-1 lead. Here comes the Kitsune Rush. Anti-nade onto Exo already. Down they go. Here comes the Barrage and takes out both supports. Here comes the Dark Blossom.
A fat spin. Did Lala pick the Lala has the extra healing and stuff like that, but I wasn't sure if they got their second perk yet. 4 minutes in and we almost have a full map completion. At this point, Team B doesn't need to actually go for any push. They, at this point, just kind of need to hold off. They can kind of poke out and look for all trades and kind of just play as how they want to play.
With how aggressive they've been playing though, I think they want to go and try and get this full completion.
Absolutely. Orbital and Rampage on the side of Team A with Transcendence and Nano on the side of
Into the
Here comes the Transcendence
The
early!
reckoning.
Here comes the dive though from the Carnage.
Marking satellite vector.
Here comes Orbital. Down goes Rayo. Push on the train goes down. Exo down. Ronin and Kyria down. Down goes Ace. That is push started for Team A, but down to 3 members.
I don't know about you, but I think that orbital was a bit unnecessary from Ricky. I think they'd already won the fight at that point. I feel like that was a waste of ult. Another ult.
I 100% agree with that one, to be honest. Unfortunately, the Rampage didn't also get any effect there due to the fact that the front end was also still in effect at the time.
Even then, it will deny the healing, and it did deny healing to Cube, and he ended up falling shortly afterwards with that anti.
Coming up to 3 ults here for the side of Team B, and coming closely to 20% for the Radra. Down goes Tree to Vortex, out of all things. Lala goes down.
Bass gets his revenge.
Help for EXO, the outcome is the annihilation. EXO down. Annihilation only pop for EXO, by the way.
Dude, with a nasty vortex, catching Ricky while she's flying.
Here comes Death Blossom, unnecessary Death Blossom from Ace. I'm wondering if that was a misclick.
It could have been. But now,
Crush.
But
Nano
Ronin
out.
does with Nano overclock. Ronin can't quite get a kill though.
Sandwich gets first from EXO takes care of Rio. He goes down to EXO as well. Sandwich finally getting revenge on that Anna, which has been a pest for them all that time. Also gets an ace for their troubles. Now coming back with 2 ults here inside of Team A. This is only the Transcendence for Team B. Ult advantage in favour of Team A.
Anytime that Team A does want to get the point back to try to push it, it's always going to have to deal with this mid fight. So runs in.
Barrage in, Rayo down, Kyria down. Most folks down, EXO gets better. Ace and oh god, sorry, Hugh goes down to the Reaper of Tree faction.
Only 1 ult needed to win that fight. This time they are a little more smart about their ultimate.
3 ults available for Team A. 2 ultimates coming up to 3 shortly with a little death plus for Team B.
Bars just be able to provide so much pressure against the backline.
Sandwich another kill onto Ronin, but goes down to Kyria. Transcendence in.
For the reckoning.
There goes the Rampage. I believe it collects. Only Kyria does get a confirmation on the kill. Down goes Ace. Down goes
Within 30 left to go, and Team A has hit the checkpoint, and they're looking to try to close the gap.
100%. Looking at where the bot has to get to, though, it is pretty much on the point.
EXO is hitting these knives that he needs to hit, but fast!
Ace gets 2! Russian was contested. Sandwich takes out EXO 2, Rayo, and Ace going down quickly. EXO with 3, with 3 picking up 1 as well. We're in
And this
pretty
is
much
going to be the final fight, and they
completion.
hit it.
Here comes the Death Blossom in the backline here, it's 2!
Nano Death Blossom gets 2, and they force the bot to move back up. Basket 3-piece. Rayo picks off Ricky, and it looks like that will be a fight win for Team B. And it looks like Team A is going to have to make the long run back to point. And it looks like Team B is being smart about it and not pushing the bot.
Lala also gets caught off whilst they're trying to escape, but Tree! Rayo down! Immediately without the Zen, the answer This is a major push now. Someone's
Just
on the ball.
ends
Here comes the
now.
barrage. Down goes the barrage though. Bullet overblock. Annihilation in.
Reckoning.
Rampage in. Rampage collects the Ronin, but Exit goes down. That's a team fight win for Team B. 3-1 lead.
What a map! What a map! It looked like it was going to be a quick run through by Team B, but Team A fought back hard.
Play
A
of the
few
game.
good barrages from Sandwich and a good rampage from Exo here and there. Does
Time
actually
for the
manage to pull them
reckoning!
into a 4-meter gap.
There we go. Here's the play from Exo. Takes out the takes out the Reaper. Nice plays there from both teams. Unfortunately, Team B getting the better.
Team B almost actually pushed it. They ended up getting off the bot right near the end. I feel like they could have kept pushing it and they may have gotten close. But it looks like it will be a win for Team B.
Yep. As that comes to the conclusion of this scrim. Uncle Reskin,
It's
any
actually
final
wait.
thoughts?
Well,
Say
no,
good
actually, it's
match.
not a clean spot. It's not. No, they're picking another map. They've only played 4.
wow.
Oh,
Don't
never mind.
forget.
Oh,
They're gonna
that
play
was,
at least one more.
I was
That
about
was
to say,
interesting.
it's
Yeah, that was definitely interesting. I thought Team B had that all the way for sure. But I don't know. I think early on I could kind of conceptualize what the plan might have been there to do the May and Reinhardt to be able to wall off Hugh from his team and take care of him early, and while the Reapers traded backlines. But obviously that didn't seem to come into fruition. A lot of that didn't. Yeah, that didn't happen, and I think Team A could have maybe maybe pulled out an upset and taken care of this maybe a little bit earlier, or at least made this a more even fight. But it looked like maybe more of an issue with getting the right players on the field sooner, because as soon as they did, they walked it back, and like I said, right at the end, it was a nail biter to see what happened. I would have liked to see each one of the characters from Team A, as soon as they recognized that the matchup was a bust, to switch a bit earlier, because
Yeah,
those
100%.
precious seconds would have definitely made the difference.
100%, and with how close it was for Team A to almost grasp that from the clutches of defeat, it was so near, tantalizingly close as we go
They
to
have to
Silvassa.
feel good about almost bringing it back, but it also has to be
Oh,
so
100%.
crushing on the mental game, considering you went down early and you still weren't, even with that as good of a push they did, still weren't able to bring it back.
Yeah.
Now, a little bit of mental lapses from Team B. They still feel good, likely, about the win, but they definitely need to know about those mental lapses. I'm sure that they're aware of, and so they'll probably be making sure that they don't, they'll be a little more careful.
100%. And as we're saying, some of us have now been picked from Team A here on a potential last map situation, but we'll see how the teams want to play this. If they want to keep with the Ramatra matchup, which looked to be EXO's most strong look so far throughout this
Well, I
scrim.
think actually Junker Queen, honestly, was having a good time. Like, he
Oh
was
yeah,
actually...
that Junker Queen definitely looked good towards the end of Coliseum as well. So let's see. But Nick, do you think Team B needs to switch up anything from what they're playing, or do you think that they're just...
Well, they're generally running with confidence. I don't see why they would need to change, but I think it's generally that they've kind of... I have a feeling Kiria's going to swap to Kiriko for the fact of that there's
Ready for
antis
battle.
on the field with, as I exactly said, there's the Kiri with the thing of antis on the field with stuff like stuff like anti. It's going to be a little bit more dangerous and interesting that
EXO is
Ricky and
currently
Lala
hovering
are
the
gonna
ball.
Tricky and Lala were going to the DPS with Sandwich and Tree going to support. I don't know what they're doing. They're doing something.
Ricky on the off roll. Okay, no, they're drinking us.
Okay,
They're drinking the casters.
they're okay. What are they doing here? What are they thinking? What's the plan here? Okay, Lala's on tank now, playing the ball with EXO on a Genji, which EXO is actually a half decent Genji. But it looks like, again, Team B is going to be running their kind of comp that they've liked been running, but just this time with a Kiri because they were worried about antis. But it doesn't look like they'll have to worry too much about that this time. But even then, Suzu, for a chance at it, is going to be very much a good use of an ability with how much that they could have. And Lala's gone to the Ana, so I think they're just kind of chilling around, just showing off characters or something, or just thinking of characters to play.
Yep, Lala now on this Ana gives a reason for Korea to be on this Kurako. But EXO is still hovering the Genji right now, but Window most likely they're going to be the tank here. You're EXO, what do you play into this comp?
I think you run back what you were running successfully.
There you go.
You run back
There's
to
the
the
switch to the Drunken Queen. As we now wait. Need to watch. Someone here. Fire. Tree on the roof. Lala now switches over to the Kiri of their own, running very much a similar composition for the backline. Apparently Tree can't make up his mind.
No, they're thinking. They're seeing what they could potentially do to you know. They're thinking of what they could do because considering that Colosseo, they found the comp that they were kind of able to run at Team B with, they're probably trying to decide, okay, what can we run here at this point? Now, while you won't have the hit scan potential behind scope to hit the Pharah, Kiriko is still very deadly with a double headshot.
5, 4, 3, 2.
But,
100%. Does what it do.
Initial flashpoint.
And as we're in the scrim code, we're going to be playing all 5 flashpoints.
Farah May from Team A, Reaper Soldier from Team B.
Sandwich, it looks to be poking in their early room rotation, but they look like they pull full left on the sides of Team B.
Just got out onto Sandwich there, has to get out of LOS from that. Point A being taken. You down. Kyria down. The follow up very quick there. High ground being contested by the Farah of Sandwich here over Market. Doing a little bit of poke damage to make sure that they know that no one's going to be contested anytime soon. But to the sidelines comes this Reaper from Ace and Rayo as well. Volley shots in from Zenyatta. In comes Wall, hits with Yugi again. Yugi down immediately. Made a wall, very aggressive and very successful there, catching that Radra Down to 4 players. Unfortunately, they have to wait for their tank to even engage. But I do not think they're going to have the time. 10 seconds left. 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's full completion. On market.
That will be very quick point caps from the side of Team A, and they'll be looking to gain momentum heading into the next point. It looks like they'll be going into Ruin.
Ruin's next point for this team. Heavily computational advantage on market for Team A. This might play into Team B though, with how open the sightlines are for
Flashpoint unlocks in 10 seconds.
so unfortunately.
Devour them.
Here comes the wall already. Unfortunately, does not connect with anyone. Down goes Tree as I say that. Running. Takes care of that. Down goes Hugh. Down goes Ace though. Barrage in. Nicely connected to the Reaper. TP out for the Kiriko. Unfortunately, Brandon goes down in the meantime. Rosa trying to escape. Over to the Orisa goes Hugh. Rayo over down to Sandwich as well. Nick.
Yeah. So it looks like it's going to be a swap to Orisa, and Bats are going to be swapped to the cast on the side of Team B. It looks like they're going to be making a compositional swap here, just probably brawl a little bit better with a Queen. Orisa has the potential to shut that down really quick. But the big thing with Orisa, without her armor, she's a bit of a glass cannon, and without her cooldown.
Pass
Bat
into the
tries to run in with a...
This ends now.
Oh, Exo tried to throw the ult, the spear can't get out, and...
Run takes down the May. Lovely play from Team B. 94% on the clock.
Hugh shut down the Rampage with a well-timed spear and also managed to kill Exo before he could actually pop it off. And so they're without one of their biggest ults here for this next fight. Granted.
Wonderfully played there by Hugh. In comes the speed ring down. Engage already in. Ricky taking care of her. Then there comes the Blizzard. Rayo down. Ace down. In comes the Rush. In comes the Orbital. In comes the Shout. Down goes Hugh. Down goes Kyria. In comes the recontest. There goes 2 points. Team A looking stronger on this composition now with EXO on this Junkie Queen. Nick thoughts.
Well, it looks like they kind of found the comp that they want to be running against this aggressive kind of poke comp that Team B wanted to run. Team B now kind of is in a situation where now they're kind of trying to figure out Team A's composition. Swapping to the Orisa and the cast kind of put a little more CC on the jungle.
Justice
There goes the Mirage hits too! Sandwich! Lovely play there. Lovely connects as
with
well
a 4K.
With
a 4K. Though Sandwich is looking to finish off Ronin, looks like they will.
Nicely done. Team wipe there for the side of Team A. Sandwich getting the 2-piece with the barrage, then follow up with, from that well-placed May ult to stop the Orisa from getting out to there as well. As we look at the engage here from both sides, the rush already contested. In comes the Terror Surge, in comes the Noon. High Noon as well. Unable to get anything with High Noon, but painfully to go down, but in the midst of it, Sandwich does take care of you.
Dodge this.
Run takes care of Exo, down goes majority of the team, down goes Sandwich finally to a headshot from Ace. Nick.
Yep. So, finally another bit of point progress for Team B, but with only about 2 ults that they have, and one and two more coming up on the side of Team A. It's gonna be looking close of who's gonna get this next fight. Two impactful ults in Transcendence and Rampage. Just a matter of which goes off first. And it looks like they'll be running. Exo misses, but it's gonna be running for the back line. Oh, but another denial of a Rampage!
Lovely
This
spear there
ends
from
now.
Here comes in
And Talon.
Overclock, takes care of the sandwich. Here comes the wall. Exo
Even with
takes
the help
care
of the overclock. Even with the help of the overclock, they are unable to actually get the fight win. And that looks like it'll be third point. And technically the map win at that point for Team A.
Team B looks to be struggling now with their mental on this map choice. So Vasa trying to figure out this composition from there, and Lala takes care of full ace with a headshot to the Cassidy. As we go on to Palace now.
Flashpoint unlocks in 10 seconds.
Engaged now, looking at both directions
Justice
from this
reigns
barrage in. Next
Hugh,
move.
though,
Flashpoint unlocked.
Hugh trades out the barrage against Sandwich, but unfortunately does both lose out with a chance of close to a Terror Surge.
100%. Now,
Team A is setting
4 ults here on the side of Team B for the re-engage here. Walk in already. Rush in from both teams. In. Rushing in. Suzu in with a Blizzard. Down goes 2 members from each team. Freeze onto the Orisa. Down goes the Orisa to Lala. Hugh unable to keep any contestants there.
Team A really setting the tempo in this map. Team B just does not look to have an answer.
Team B looking for a re-engage here. One ult to the name. Getting close to full completion of this sub-area now. You in. Down goes
Into the eyes.
headshot rail from Ronan. Onto the Orisa though. Down goes the Orisa. Exo getting a lovely rampage there onto the Orisa, but goes down for the trouble. Tree goes down for theirs. Down goes Ricky. Down goes Lala. That is finally on 99%. Team B getting some purchase on Palace.
Yeah, very difficult fight. One ult with another one close on the way for the side of Team B. Only Kitsune Rush is no ult on the side of Team A, but very close coming up to Kitsune Rush. Looks like Sandwich is going to be pulling around the side for a flank, and Bass holds the other flank. But it looks like they'll be running up on the high ground against Bass.
And goes the contest. Comes nice. Here comes the dude. Only connects with the wall. Exo down though on the meantime. Here comes the spin, and you goes down for their issues and trouble. Both tanks down on both sides. Rush is contested. Overclock out. Now onto the Cassidy. There comes the barrage, hits Ronan and Kyria. Exo kills.
Bass kind of just had a lovely stroll there. I was wondering kind of where he was going. He was back, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. But a Terror Surge pop. He's actually managing to last. He's actually allowing his team time to actually potentially come back here.
99 to 99. OT is here. You down. In comes Ronan. Contestant down. Blizzard down.
Into the iris.
Transcendence on point. Exo kills
Time for the
Out
reckoning!
into the
Unfortunately-
rampage, down goes that. Exo takes care of Ace, and there goes Palace, and Temple, last point.
Unfortunately, they were unable to even like bring it back when they were so close to doing so. Even Hugh lasting so long as he did on point, it just wasn't enough. Right now, we go into this next fight with an orbital ray and another close high
Flashpoint
noon.
unlocks in 10 seconds.
Well, we just had the old banks looking very depleted on both sides as Team A already on point, looking for an early engage here. Orbital in as I say that. Newly engaged, Exo takes care of Hugo and also Ace.
The noon does not find value, and it looks like it's just gonna be a
Exo
quick
takes care of
round.
Rayo. Tree goes down. Yeah, it shoots by Ronan, but Ronan taken care of by Sandwich.
Hello.
Finally finding their purchase is Team A here on Saravasa. Finding how they want to swing the fight into this. Nick.
So it looks like they'll be pushing up the midpoint here. They won't be pushing from stair side. They'll be pushing just straight up. They probably try to look for a split, but they're... Oh, but a good spear onto Sandwich. Puts it in on 5v4 for the side of Team B. But a
There's a wasn't contested. You down. Ace down. Carry it down.
This ends now.
Overclock popped.
And that'll be
But
a
that is
flawless match for...
flawless map. And that, I believe, is full scrim.
I guess we'll see if they want to play one more or not.
Play of the game.
But this is Hugh's last one, so...
Unfortunately. Sandwich there again, played the game. Unfortunately, Ronan and Team B unable to get any purchase there. Flawless map for Team A. Nicely done, in my opinion. Uncle Roskin, any thoughts?
That was interesting. I mean, it seems like Team A realized they struck gold with the comp they had, and very smartly decided to take that into Saravasa, given the fact that Team B hasn't adjusted their comps much throughout the matches. And sure enough, they came through, and they looked very strong at the first point, and even while Team B, at least I believe Tank and Asa Bass realized and switched maybe 61% into the second round. It just wasn't. It just maybe wasn't the best or most effective comp against what Team A was pushing out. I think on either side, that's kind of been the tail of the tape. There is finding the most effective comp to counter or last against their opponents as quickly and as early as possible to stand a chance or having a effective match or effective fight. I mean, and it seemed like Team B was on the back foot coming into the beginning of this match, and it just kind of went downhill from there.
If you guys had to vote for a player of this matchup, who would you say was the most valuable player on each team?
Well,
Or
I
in
honestly, it was very interesting. All teams kind of, all players kind of had their moments there, but I think really who shined the best on Team A was EXO, especially swapping over the Junker Queen in the last two maps and actually almost pulling a team win out of nothing, almost like a full cap to another full cap.
Interesting.
but on the side of Team B, it's a little harder to kind of decide because all the players really did well on individual moments, like as Bass having a killer Widow game, Ronan all around with the Sojourn, Rayo with the Zen, Hugh running in on his aggressive Ramatra, and Kiria providing good support with either Ana or Kiri. So Team B generally I think has a good balance. And it's kind of hard to pick one. But if it's
Yeah.
anything, I think for the most consistency, I'm going to put probably Ronan. Ronan was always honestly grabbing picks whenever he could, regardless
Funny
if he
enough,
was getting outshined.
that's exactly what my pick would have been as well. I think EXO did a tremendous job, especially once EXO started to find their rhythm, and and got on Junker Queen. But I look towards consistency, and the most consistent player I think throughout the matches, showing up, putting damage, staying alive as long as possible was Ronan.
Yeah, I have to agree with both of you there, Ronan. Making a lot of plays, a lot of those headshot charged up shots, nasty as heck. Overclocks getting the better of the Sojourn counter. So yeah, it very much a difference of matchups, but play of the match has to go to Ronan here from
It was
myself.
interesting though. It was interesting. I think with even with Team A throughout the early matches, I believe I only saw. I could be wrong, but I think it was either lived. I don't know how to say the name. Live Cuisine or Live Cuisine. Live
We call
Cousin
him Sandwich. We call him
Sandwich. Okay, there you
Sandwich.
go. Sandwich. It was one tank exo and one DPS, which it may have been Lord of Trees.
Mm.
I'd have to look at it
Lord of Trees
horizontally.
had a few good moments on
Okay,
me.
so no, it was definitely Live Cousin then, or sorry, Sandwich.
Cuisine
The yeah,
or Sandwich.
Live Cuisine, yeah, Sandwich. So in the early matches, I saw consistent switching and trying to find a comp that fit between EXO and Sandwich. Seemed to be that those two were the most flexible and tried to be as malleable as possible to find a comp that worked. Anytime EXO switched, I saw right along the lines, Sandwich switched as well. A lot of the other comps pretty much stayed consistent, but once they found a rhythm between those two and what worked, that is what uh you know won them the last two matches, or
100.
came close and then won the last match.
It looks like they're just going to be chilling out here at this point. But I think at this point they're just kind of playing one for fun. At this point, I think so. I think generally we could end it there.
Yeah,
Other than that, like both teams were very close. Both teams had their moments, and a lot of maps could have gone either which way.
yeah. It ended up, what was it, 3-2?
3-2 for Team B.
Yep. Uh, Very close matchup from time to time, but that's all we've got time for on this scrum. Uh, Very hard fought from both teams, so yeah. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Hopefully there will be more scrims coming in the future. See you guys.